Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we've got the Boker Plus Urban Trapper. Boker Plus actually has 5 different blades that have this sort of model at the titanium with these holes in them. They've got the Urban Trapper Grand, which is a little bit larger than this, and they've got a couple smaller ones and a shorter, more stubby version as well. Lots of versions, and that's because this knife is, I'm going to say it, awesome. I really love this knife. This knife carries very well. This knife is especially a great knife for, the office. It'll sit in your, dress pants and you won't notice it. The titanium pocket clip with a stone wash blends in very well, not really reflective, so it really hides. And it just looks great. VG10 steel. I'm not going to give it all away. But this Brad Zinker design knife is one that I really like. I purchased it from Boker Plus myself at a special discount for reviewers, and it's time for the full review. Won't you stick around for it? For those of you who are new to the knife hobby, Boker is a German company. And that's why they've got the umlaut over the O. That's the 2 little dots on the word Boker. I think that's called umlaut, isn't it? Oh, my German memory is just going nuts. I have a Germanic background, and yet I'm still screwing it up all the time. Just look at this blade. Just look at how beautiful this thing is. All across the whole thing. It's just a phenomenal knife. And I have been carrying this thing an awful lot. I really like it very, very much. The model number, if you want to look it up, is 01BO730. O and 0 being letters and numbers, right? Don't get them mixed up if you're looking it up. Urban Trapper is the perfect size. Although they do have bigger, they do have smaller. And if that's what if you're have bigger hands and you want a bigger one, great. And if you're smaller and you want a smaller one, great, just fine. I've got a sort of version of the Trapper as well with Cocobolo handle. At least I believe it's a Trapper. I'll have to double check that. I'll put a picture of it in right here. That review will be coming up probably at the end of September. For now, I've got such a big backlog of knives, I got to hurry up. The handle on this knife is all titanium. So you get that beautiful stone wash on that titanium, and then where they did the drilling of the holes, they chamfered the edges so that they're really nice and reflective. It's the look an awful lot. And then you've got the pivot screw and the open pillar construction, the pillar at the back. Those are Torx, although it looks more design than that, but it is a Torx screw, which is really nice. It's what you want, unless if it's a proprietary one, you want a proprietary screwdriver with a kit, right? There's a number of really neat things about this knife. One of the main ones that I really like, and I've talked to different designers and stuff about it, and I just can't get a great answer. Here's the frame lock arm, and almost always they have the relief cut on the outside. Brad Zinker designed it on the inside. I've heard reasons for that, something about you want the angle of the pressure coming from the lock back to the back. You want it in the straightest possible line along with the end of the handle here. You want that as straight as possible. I'm not so sure that that really makes that big of a difference in a pocket knife. If you put this relief on the inside, the outside of the working side, it of course doesn't look as nice as the show side, but it makes the working side look better than it would otherwise. I like the really deep pocket clip, so it's as deep as you can make them. Well, you can make it deeper, I guess, but it's as deep as the handle is. And I'll show you how it looks in a pocket in a while. The flipper arm has got just the right amount of jimping at the top here without becoming too much. It's not too tall. Some flippers are often too tall, but this one's just right. Flips open very, very well. Not a problem at all to get it to work. And the satin finish on this blade is just perfect. I don't like mirror finishes, and this is just a bit shy of a mirror finish. It's because my skin's a little greasy, and so I leave fingerprints everywhere. So I like it just shy of a mirror finish. It looks great. Very clean lines. It's a saber grind. I call it a high flat grind, not quite a full flat. And again, you've got the name right there, VG10 Steel. There's Brad Zinker's logo, just a BZ or BZ for the American friends. And looks great. The detent ball is right in there. So it's really easy to just put a tiny little drop of oil in there if you need to oil that detent ball. I've not had to oil this thing at all. It came tensioned perfectly out the pivot and all that other good stuff. Let's talk about the dimensions, and then we'll get back to more of what I like and don't like about this knife. The cutting edge, 8.68 centimeters, that's 3.4 inches. The length of the blade itself is just a tiny bit longer, 8.77 centimeters, 3.45 inches, just barely longer than the cutting edge. The blade thickness is 2.5 millimeters, that's 0.1 inches. The thickness of the edge behind that final bevel on the grind, that final grind right there, is 0.44 millimeters, which is 0.0175 inches. Very good for a smaller, well, it's not a small knife, but it's, it's a nice long knife, but everything's nice and refined about this. So for this very refined knife, I really like that it's only 0.44 millimeters thick. Cuts very, very well. Handle length, 10.7 centimeters, that's 4.23 inches. The grip area just on this side of the flipper arm here, which is now a finger guard when the blade's deployed, is 9.4 centimeters, 3.7 inches. The handle thickness, so right here at this end and back here, not counting the pocket clip, is 3.8 millimeters, 0.325 inches. The total length of this knife when the blade is deployed is 19.4 centimeters, 7.64 inches, and it weighs 51 grams. That's 1.8 ounces. Most of the references I found say it's 48 grams. Maybe they weighed it without the pocket clip. I don't know. My scale is pretty good. It's not a perfect scale, but I think it's a very good scale. 51 grams, 1.8 ounces is just lighter than ever. And that's one of the reasons why I say this is a great urban pocket knife, a dress pocket knife, this is the kind of knife that you want to carry in your, to the office or, wherever you're going, because it is so small in terms of its weight, and it's got smaller, thin lines, very effective. Because it's so thin, it's great for self-defense if you got into that kind of situation, because, this nice thin blade will penetrate well, and it cuts great. Your sophisticated lunch, you can cut it up with this thing, or just a simple apple, whatever you want. What's the price for this knife? Right now, the best prices I could find were at Amazon, Amazon.com, $68 US. Amazon.ca is almost twice that, at 123 Canadian dollars. The exchange rate isn't twice that, so it's a much better buy at Amazon.com. So if you're Canadian and you have a way of getting it through the US market, that's a better way to go, but that's true for almost every knife, right? So back to what I like and don't like about this knife. Fit and finish, awesome. Let's talk about the pivot here. Pivot is very smooth. Ball bearings. I'll show you a picture of those ball bearings. What do you think of that? Isn't that great? Very nice little ball bearings. You don't have any blade play in the knife, up, down, back and forth. When the blade is halfway open, it's still nice and snug, no blade play. Lockup is just great. It's exactly what I like a new knife to be at on a frame lock like this. Very, very good. And when you close the blade alignment in there, I'll give you a close-up of that as well. It's just right on perfect. Flipping action is just wonderful. And lockup, I'm very surprised, is solid, and yet it's not hard to unlock this knife. even though there is no stainless steel blade insert. This is a titanium frame lock with a titanium locking up against the VG10 steel, and it works very, very well. I do have to let you know that it works very, very well now that I put just a tiny bit of, at the surface that meets up with the titanium, I took a pencil and I rubbed it on there just to get a little bit of carbon on there, just so that you can get it to, it acts like a lubricant so that it doesn't hold the lock tight. You don't get snug, tight lockup. It just makes it easy to unlock your knife. I don't know if it really needed it, but since it was titanium meeting that, I did that anyways. I really like the fact that there's a titanium pocket clip because, as I said earlier, it looks really great and it's very functional. So here I've got my pants pocket. Slide it in. This little curved lip right here works really well even on jeans, to just have it, slide right in and over it. And look at that. It just sits there. It's, kind of blends in. It looks good. Even on a pair of slacks, this isn't going to look bad at all. It's nice, short. It makes it look like there's not much at all in your pocket. And then you go and take it out and you flip it open and you've got yourself a very good knife. How well does it cut? I'm glad you asked. So we've got some really light paper here, much lighter than copy paper. The thinner a paper is, the harder it is to cut. Look at those push cuts. It just cuts so very, very well. I've done nothing to this edge. I've not stropped it. I've done nothing to it at all. I've had this knife for, 4 months now. Here's some of that Molly type banding, an inch wide banding. Zips through that ever so easily. And it cuts through it this way just fine. Let's get that over there. Very, very nice knife. It just cuts great. You still don't believe me? Okay. We've got 4 layers of paracord here, and just zips through all of those. Let's get that piece of wood back again. Or just straight down, just cuts very, very well. I don't think I really need to do an awful lot more cutting tests with this. You know that it works. You can tell. It's great. I mentioned pretty much everything that I want to say about this. The blade steel is not hard to sharpen, and yet it holds an edge very well. Those of you who might be new to the knife market, VG10 is the dominant steel for chefs. People who use knives all day long, they prefer VG10 steel because it holds an edge very well, and yet it's not difficult to sharpen. It's just a really, really good steel. The only negative about this knife is, a theoretical one in this case, is the lock bar insert that's missing, but it's not causing any negative in my actual experience with the knife. I've had some knives with the missing lock bar insert. Titanium just doesn't always slide that well, but I've got other knives that have stainless steel on stainless steel, and they lock up all the time, and they stick. The lock just doesn't want to unlock, and this one is working just wonderfully. So as I said in my disclosure, I bought this knife from Boker Plus, but I did get a special price. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. It's a great clip point blade. I didn't mention this before. You've got a rounded spine on this blade. That's very, very nice. And, this flat grind with the sanding done horizontally across the blade just looks so nice. It's a very, very sweet blade. If you have enough money to get one of these and you like it in terms of its looks, go ahead and check out the different knives that they have, like the 5 different knives that they have with this styling. I'm sure there's one of them that you like, And if you don't like it, hey, buy something else. It's your life, your money, your preferences might not be the same as somebody else's. So there you have it, the Boker Plus Urban Trapper by Brad Zinker. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing these videos. Remember, always cut towards your chum and not your thumb.